Hello and welcome in, my name is Sweet Phil, and today I'm bringing you a Fireball Meteor Sorceress here for Diablo 2 Resurrected. So that's right, this is a strictly Fire Sorceress, no dual spec or anything like that. That's generally the way I like to go with Sorceresses, is going straight down one tree so that all the synergies help out the other skills that you're using to deal as much damage as possible. And then when I'm farming, I just only farm areas that are good for that particular build. That's what I usually do for the go-to here. Now, if you're going strictly fire, there are some cons to fire for sure, but there are also pros. I'll start off with kind of the pros first. The main thing is that you do not need to respec from the beginning of the game if you go straight fire and go straight down the fire tree like this. You can just put your points into blam 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 down the fire tree and you'll be a-okay. Now for cons, there is definitely certain areas that you're going to struggle. If you're doing a regular playthrough solo by yourself without any other help, you're going to struggle mightily when you get to like the Chaos Sanctuary and when you get to like Bale Waves. When you hit the one that is fire immunes, you're going to struggle with that. But if you're playing online, you can definitely help out your team, and then your team can help you out when you get to those types of places. So we'll take a look at the stats first over here. Super basic here. This is how a ton of sorcerers go. I put up to 156 for his strength. Obviously on my gear I got a Spirit Monarch. Dex, you put just enough to wear your gear, which for what I'm using here and what I'm planning on doing is not a lot. I put the rest into Vitality. Energy, I did not put any extra points. Anything that's on that is just from the gear. So I do have some extra points down here that I'm going to dump into Vitality probably in the future. This is my online character, so I'm actually playing through and finishing leveling up this character as we speak. Now the resistances, because I am playing through and I don't have the absolute best perfect gear, my fire res is lower than I would like. The other ones are looking okay, but obviously you'd want to cap everything out if you had perfect gear. But that's where I'm falling with this right here. We'll go ahead and take a look at the skill tree right here, and I'll go ahead and hop to the other side to get out of the way. For the cold skills, just 1 point into frozen armor gives you a little bit of defensive boost. So that's all you really need for the cold tree. Nothing else on any of the other ones. Lightning, very standard here if you're going with any build that's not lightning. So you got 1 into telekinesis. I put 1 point into teleport. Those are pretty obvious. Static, 1 point into static, also very obvious there. Over on the fire skill tree, I'll start off with the stuff that I just put 1 point into. I put 1 point into warmth, 1 into inferno, blaze, and firewall. Now those are not skills that you use. I use those just to get down further on the skill tree to get to other skills. But when you start off the game, you're pumping a bunch of points in the firebolt. I max that out. Then you pump a bunch of points in the fireball, max that one out. Then you come down, pump a bunch into meteor and max that out. And also, when I get enough points, I max out fire mastery. Now, early on in the game, you're using fireball, and then you could put points into fire mastery when you get high enough level to do that. But fireball actually gets 14% from firebolt and meteor. So as I'm playing through the game, I use that actually a lot more than meteor. So I end up putting points into meteor and maxing out firebolt before I get points in the fire mastery, because fire mastery does about 7%, I think it is, per level. Don't quote me on that, but it's 6, 7, 8, something like that, and you get 14 from putting points into the other one. So that's what I do with that, and not to mention putting points into meteor will boost that damage up a bunch here, and it synergizes with the other stuff too. So that's pretty easy on the skill tree there. We'll take a look at the gear, and remember, this is good gear, not perfect gear. I will bring tons of different examples here of stuff that you can use in place of this stuff, depending on what you found, or if you're going for the absolute perfect build. And also, there is a full Talrash's build that you can do with this that is very, very good, that I will mention at the end here too. So I have an Oculus, very good option here because of the skills, cast rate, all the stuff on there, all res, magic find. Oculus is my favorite personally. People will disagree with that, and they'll say the Hoto is their go-to because they literally cannot stand the 25% chance to teleport. I don't mind it that much personally. I don't play hardcore, so I don't worry about it. Oculus is my go-to. And there is the Talrash's orb that you could put here if you're going with the Tal set. Up on the helmet, I got the Shaco for a fire sorceress. That's pretty much go-to. If you're doing the Tal set, there is the Talrash's helm that would go there if you're doing the full Tal set. I just got Telling of Beads here. I would prefer, and I'm hoping to get near in the future here, a caster amulet, so I can get some more cast right there. I can get 2 to the sorcerer skills instead of just 1 to all skills. And then the resistances will be a little bit better, hopefully, if I can get 10 to all res or 15 to all res or something like that on a caster amulet. That would be ideal. This one just has kind of the ton of poison res, which poison res is kind of the least important of the resistances, but up until this point on the game, it's the best I've found. Amaras will be fine. If you're using a full Tals, you'll have a Tal Rasha's amulet for that. So that's pretty much the options on that one. Spirit Monarch over here. This one, unfortunately, only rolled with 30 FCR. I haven't got around to re-rolling to get a 35. But Spirit Monarch is going to be the go-to almost all the time, unless you go with the Phoenix Shield, where you get a bunch of -2 enemy fire res. That is incredibly expensive, so a lot of people do not go that route. Maybe, you know, if you're playing single player or you're not playing any ladder ever, and you just runes get a lot cheaper on non-ladder eventually, so you could make yourself a Phoenix over here. So that is an option too. Boots, there is a wide variety of boots, because there isn't any that's super overpowered really. If you get some rare boots that are, you know, pretty good, these ones are not that great, but you can get ones with walk run. You can get you obviously get the magic find. You can get more resistances on the boots. All different kind of rare boots can be very good over here. They're usually the best go-to. War Traps, obviously good for that magic find. Silk Weaves are another good option for casters. You get mana after kill, and I think it's 10% increased maximum mana. Along with it does have 30% faster walk run too, but just a ton of options you can put over here. Even things like water walk, so it'll be perfectly fine. Gloves. This is one place where you will probably never put anything else. On specifically a fire sorceress, you want to go with Mage Fist. You get an extra skill to your fire skills, and the cast rate, regenerate mana 25%. You could put Trangs if you some chance can't get Mage Fist, but Mage Fists are cheap enough, easy enough to find. You're going to want to have those there. When you come to the rings here, I got a faster cast rate with some res and stuff, and a Raven Frost. It depends on what you have faster cast rate wise. This is where you can put stuff maybe you wouldn't need the 10 FCR if you had a caster amulet up here, so you could put on an Angel or something like that, or an SOJ would be ideal probably. But because I'm early on here, that's not exactly what I got. I just have a gold wrap on here. I didn't need any more faster cast rate, so budget wise you could put a caster belt if you needed that extra cast rate, but if you don't, a gold wrap is fine. Later game, you're going to want to get an Arachnid's Mesh on here. $1 skills, faster cast rate, blah blah blah. Arachnid's Mesh is probably the best go-to, or if you're doing that full Tal set, this is where the Tal Rasha's belt would go. Now for the armor, I got a Viper Magi, very good option. Kind of a budget option too. It's cheap and very good. So this is definitely a way to go. I put a perfect topaz in it. There are better options, we'll say, like the Enigma. Enigma is amazing, even though you don't need that one to teleport. You can put it on there, 2 to all skills, you get a ton of magic find. There's so much stuff on there, it is bananas. Enigma, even without needing the teleport, it is, in my opinion, kind of the way to go there. But also, if you're doing the full Tal Rasha set, this is where the armor would go. The benefits to doing a full Tal Rasha set is that you will get, it's either on the full set or the orb, you get -15 to enemy fire res, and that will boost the damage up a ton there. So that's why you know, you go Tal's Piece, Tal's Piece, Tal's Piece, Tal's Piece, Tal's Piece. So that's a very good option. Down here for the charms, it depends best you got available. If you're doing a ton of magic finding, you could stack a ton of magic find charms in here. I just have life charms because I didn't really have a ton of other options. This is early on. Obviously a Torch and Annie, get those as you can. You know, they can be tough to get sometimes. And this is one thing I do want to mention. It is semi-important here. It's super easy to do, and it will benefit you. So put 5% faster hit recovery small charm down here, because the breakpoint is 60, and you get 55 from faster hit recovery from the Spirit Monarch up here. So with 55 and then 5% here, you get 60. You can get even better ones that have 5 hit recovery, 10 lightning res, 11 fire res, something like that down there. Or, like I was saying, I have low fire res. If I could get more fire res charms, I would probably put these down here for now on a budget character. That extra saving fire res down here in the inventory would just be amazing. It would help out my survivability like a bazillion. So on Switch, generally, CTA and a Spirit, if you can get that. If not, you could do a lower res wand, but I generally don't do that. It kind of seems almost like a waste of time to switch over, cast lower res, switch back. But CTA is mildly expensive depending on who you are. Some people say, oh, it's not expensive. I find 6 eye runes a day, bro. Cool story. But anyways, CTA and a Spirit Monarch over here is generally what you're going to want to have on Switch. You jump back over here again, and we'll take a look at a Mercenary and talk about some of the stuff you can do over here. Act 2 Cold Mercenary is the way to go. You know, Act 2 Defensive Nightmare. So you get the Cold Aura. I have an Insight on here. Not the best Insight. Obviously, the best Insight you can make, an Ethereal base Elite would be better, but, you know, this is what I got so far. I just have a Shaft Stop over here. I should, and I'm going to soon get a Treachery. I would much rather have a Treachery here. That increased attack speed is bananas on an Act 2 Mercenary. It actually helps you survive better having a bunch of increased attack speed because of the massive life leech you have up here on the Tal Rasha's Mask or the Andario's Visage, depending on what you can afford. But the more times you hit, the more damage you'll do. The more damage you do, the more life you leech, because you leech a percentage of that damage. So you got to take that into consideration. Having a faster base will deal out more damage than having a slower base, even if it has a slightly more damage. So I generally go with a fast base, you know, a Thresher, great poleaxe, stuff like that, and then get the Treachery on here. Better than a Treachery, I would definitely obviously go with a Fortitude, kind of expensive-ish, but Fortitude I would prefer over Treachery. I prefer Treachery over what I have here. There's a ton of other budget options that you could put. You have to get Life Leech on your Mercenary somewhere. Either get it on your helmet with, you can craft a Blood Helm, excuse me. A Blood Helm will give you Life Leech. So that's super, super budget. You can make that in like normal if you wanted to. Or there's certain armors that you can do that have Life Leech on them. So there's a ton of options for your Mercenary. Once you get higher level, your resistances will go up and up and up and up and up. And when you get up in the 80s and 90s and stuff, actually this 15 to all res will be enough to bump it all the way up to 75 all res, which would be the max for a Mercenary. So or if you did the Andario's Visage with a Fortitude, the Fortitude has a little bit all res on it that's enough to bump it up to the max. Alright, now we'll do some example gameplay here, and this is hell difficulty with my level 78, so a pretty low level Sorceress here, and I was running this lower, but just from running the game, I actually gained a few levels, so I'll go ahead and teleport down there, fast forward super quick, and I'll show you what you can do with this here at Andario. Alright, now we're down to Andario, and with this is just players 1 difficulty, but you can come over here and see how fast Andario has a weakness to fire, and I just dropped a Geeds, fellas, from Andario on the first run, which is hilarious. Guess what, buddies? That's making the video. So I didn't have a Geeds on this character, now I do. Let's see how she rolls. 36 Magic Find Geeds on the video. Legendary. But that is the first place that you can run with the Fire Sorceress. Is very good because, like I said, Andario has a weakness to fire. Let's go check out another area that you can farm with the Fire Sorceress. That's good for the Fire Sorceress, I should say. So here we are at the Burial Ground. Kind of, if you want to, I'm just going to mention this because I did it back and forth when I used to run the Mausoleum over here. You can take out Andario. There is a few monsters around, so you can find, I found like some mid runes from over here before, or like a rare amulet. We'll ID that later, but the Mausoleum over here is a level 85 area. You can find every single item in the game over here, actually. Now, it is specifically the Mausoleum, not the Crypt, only the Mausoleum. It's kind of interesting how they decided to do that. This isn't the absolute best, you know, like if you have a maxed out paladin doing hammers down in the Chaos Sanctuary, that'll be better. The monsters are a little spread out, but if you do farm down here, I would suggest only kind of targeting the champions and bosses down here. See, these are all regular monsters. I'm not even going to bother taking the time to kill them. Even though you can't kill them fast, it ends up just taking a ton of time. There's one over here. Dropped a small charm. We'll grab it, ID it later, move on. So it is an okay spot to farm. I've definitely pulled high runes from down here. I've personally found an Astrians down in the Mausoleum too. And there's a bunch of poppables like that. Boom, hit a champion pack, nothing good drops, move on. So there's the second spot I'm going to note there, and we'll move on to another good spot here for the Fire Sorceress. And here we are, the go-to farming spot for any sorceress, and that is down here fighting Mephisto. Now, generally if I'd farm Mephisto and I was a lower level character like this, I would moat trick Mephisto, but I'm trying to keep my mercenary alive, to be honest. Because I could just go across the River of Flames like this and drop meteors on her, but she's going to attack my mercenary and kill my mercenary here eventually. Maybe, there, I got my mercenary to stay still. You could just sit back and, this is so easy, blah, 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 and take out Mephisto like that. Nothing this time. I always hit the chest back here. I always tell the story anytime I come to Mephisto. I one time got a burr rune out of there, so I always hit that. So Mephisto is another good spot to farm. Now we're hitting another go-to for almost everybody in the entire game here. We've got Eldritch and Shank. Now Eldritch and Shank is obviously super fast to get to, but they are occasionally immune to fire, so you take out the pack. The pack's all immune to cold. They are immune to cold and then sometimes fire, but your mercenary takes them out kind of quick. So you can run up there. If they are immune to cold and they're like Iron Skin or something, you could just skip them that particular time. But boom, they are incredibly weak when they're not immune to fire, and hang out for the fire to rain down, or if your computer can't quite handle that, come over here, but you want to make sure that you stay until the monsters fall dead, because sometimes there will be high runes drop over there. Definitely find high runes from that occasionally. Now we'll go to the final one, and it is pretty obvious. You can go ahead and grab yourself Pindle over here. Pindle, once again, is one of those monsters that is occasionally immune to fire, but his pack mainly isn't. So even if he's not, you can take out his pack and take out Pindle, and boom, there you go. Those are kind of the best places to farm with a Fire Sorceress. You can't necessarily do everywhere, but it is fun to play this character, and it is kind of a variety instead of just playing a Blizzard Sorceress for your entire life. So, hey, hopefully you use this build. Thanks for checking it out. Peace out, guys. Don't forget, keep slaying.